One more. This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, highlighting all of Section 3, interviewing the greatest local coaches and athletes. Brought to you by SummitCars.com, broadcasting in the ESPN studios. Here's your host, Mike Bristol, and Eagle Newspapers' Phil Blackwell.
All right, here we are on it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Inside High School Sports Show. And great program for you like usual. And it's always delightful to have Phil back in studio. A little sick last week. Not feeling so good.
Yeah, feeling better right now, and I hope so, because this season is just full and so much going on. And we're in the heart of it now. All the sports are in full blast. You're trying to fight the weather, and maybe it rains from time to time, but the schedules are full. The games are important, and they'll only grow in importance as this month of May continues. We start now, and by the end of May, we're already crying champions everywhere. So there's a lot to get to.
Crying champions. We have our Aflac Spotlight interview members of the Baldwinsville Girls Lacrosse team this week. And while the Baldwinsville Girls Lacrosse program has achieved plenty of accolades, including 3 trips to the state finals and a state championship in 2000, it's rarely been where it is now, sitting atop the state Class A rankings. So far, the Spring Bees are 11-1. It's only a blemish and narrow defeat to FM, but the Bees head coach, Megan Collins, is joining us here in studio. 3 senior captains will be with her. Midfielder Hannah Johnson, defenders Emma Foote, and Maddie Seiss all here in studio.
The thing with Beeville is this is a team with a lot back from a season ago, and they're still hungry because they lost in the sectional semifinals last year. They have a lot of experience in their back line, and they have a lot of depth in their attack. They don't really depend on one player. They have 4 or 5 attackers in a strong rotation, and that's the secret to why they've been so strong this season and why they're going to be so difficult to face once you get to the playoffs, because you don't know who to stop, and then you've got to get past a very experienced back line, which seems to be the prerequisite for having or making a state championship run, is the ability to contain people, and they've been able to do that quite well.
How much of the continuity do you think goes back to their 2018 team?
No, I think having a lot back helps. I mean, when you've got a group together for a couple of years, there's less you have to reinforce once the season starts. When you're in practice, you're just tuning up and fine tuning things, and then you have rhythm on offense. I mean, so much in lacrosse, in girls lacrosse, is about rhythm and timing of passes and cuts and knowing what to do. And the more time you spend together, the better you're at it.
Right.
Better you're with it anyway.
Well, after that, we've got our SummitCars.com spotlight interview with members of the Liverpool baseball team. And 2 years ago, we all witnessed a senior-heavy Liverpool baseball team work its way to its first ever Class AA championship. After that group graduated, the Warriors struggled, obviously, in 2018. But heading back, it seems like right now, towards something great again this spring. Currently 9-4, but coming off a very good stretch where it knocked off Baldwinsville when its ace, Jason Savacool, was on the mound and on the beat. West Jenny twice in a row. So 3 seniors, Luke Harder, Jack Wheeler, and Mike DiStefano, all join us here in studio. So we'll talk with the guys in just a couple minutes.
Liverpool is a team that kind of, got off to a pretty strong start at home this season. They played a lot of games early this season. I mean, that was the phenomenon, was that they were able to play a lot of games early, pick up a bunch of wins before they went to Myrtle Beach. Then they did okay down there. And then coming back here, it looked like they'd slowed up a little bit. They lost those first 2 games to Baldwinsville. But the fact that they beat the Bees with Savacool pitching was something a lot of people thought no one would do this season locally. And then following up with 2 strong wins over West Genesee side, who until this week hadn't lost a game, tells you that Liverpool's in that mix again and trying to be in that championship mix after last season, rebuilding a little bit. Again, a group of strong seniors that may be ready for a championship push, and there's still some important games left, especially the series with CNS a couple of weeks from now.
All right, so Phil and I got a lot to get to. We're going to talk to our guests. We'll go through our top 10 and kind of cover as much as we can as we get rolling here in our high school sports broadcast. Real quick, I want to chat with you, Phil. Heading into a long and decisive month of May, you got the Class A boys lacrosse. Fairly clear front runner in Baldwinsville. Flat and some really good opponents, West Jenny FM at home. But the Bees are also at home to Liverpool. And in that rematch, we'll talk about what happened Thursday after Tuesday, who had some big rivals, West Jenny versus FM, Liverpool versus CNS. Let's talk about the week. Let's go right through Class A real quick.
Well, Baldwinsville, of the 2 games they've lost this season, or of 2 of the 3 games they lost this season, were to FM and Liverpool. And they've avenged both of them. Beeville won the rematch 12-8 on Thursday night, I believe it was. Even though Liverpool tried to slow things down, Beeville played a very strong all-around game, again reestablishing themselves. As to those local rivalries earlier in the week, FM beat West Genesee again, the second time this season, and both times they were low-scoring games. I think this one was 7-5 or something like that, or 8-6. And FM, again, the strong Class B team, and meanwhile, Liverpool beat CNS, avenging an earlier defeat to the North Stars. But in Class A, it goes through Baldwinsville because, again, maybe like their girls' team, their boys' team is just so deep with skill players and experience that, again, you don't know who to stop. And that's the difficult part about facing them. And they've got a pretty nice goalie there in Stale as well, who can, worst comes to worst, can make about 10 to 15 saves in a game. So,
all right, I also want to mention here, you look at Class C boys lacrosse picture and got a lot more interesting late last week. ESM, despite losses to Oswego and Watertown, nearly upended unbeaten state number 2 ranked JD. The Red Rams hanging on to win 11-10 after it handled the Spartans, but a much bigger margin late in March. So combine them, you look at state number 4 ranked CBA and number 7 state ranked West Hill, and the sectional playoffs promise to be a classic, no matter who wins. I mean, you got to check out these guys. General Brown's impressive win over Shenango Forks late last week. That was nice, moving the Lions up to number 2 in the state Class D rankings, ahead of actually number 3 Skinny Alice. Marcel's at number 5 is an even unfrank Lafayette impressive last Saturday. So we'll talk about that, and routed Liverpool 19-9 there.
well, I mean, this has been an interesting week in Class C. We mentioned, first of all, JD. That was a scare from ESM. I mean, the fact was ESM and what made it stranger was that ESM lost their previous game to Oswego, and they lost to Watertown later in the week, and yet they nearly knock off a JD team that's the only unbeaten team left in Section 3. So that makes Class C more interesting. With Rick Beardsley's CBA team, junior heavy and quite skilled, but they have been quite impressive. In fact, CBA is playing West Genesee tonight, so that game will be interesting to follow. Looking at the Class D side, Skinny Atlas had a big come-from-behind win on Tuesday at West Hill. Down 3, shut out in the third quarter, but then they shut out the Warriors in the fourth quarter, win it on Nick Wom's goal in OT, maybe making a case for being at the top of the state rankings, but General Brown, number 2. And by the way, last night they did a great tribute at their lacrosse game to their legendary football coach, Steve Fisher. We want to send him his best. He's battling cancer right now, Steve Fisher. Great, and they came out and they've honored him. And General Brown, and we'll see how, and best wishes to Steve Fisher, absolutely. And also we wanted to mention also West Hill, even though they lost that game to Skinny Atlas, they came back and beat Penyan 5-4 last night, and then they'll take their shot at CBA next week in what could be a playoff preview.
All right, almost one more thing here. I want to talk about the girls lacrosse games between Baldwinsville and FM ended in a split. Baldwinsville won the first meeting. The Hornets claimed the rematch 9-7 last Thursday, fending off late the Bees' rally. Despite the first defeat of the season, Beeville is still atop here in the girls' state Class A rankings, and only one other team, West Jenny, is even ranked at number 19, and that's despite a 4-4 record since it nearly knocked off Beeville when the first played each other. So, meanwhile, too, Phil, real quick, FM moved up to number 2 in the state in Class B, helped also by a win over Auburn in a rematch of last May sectional final. The Maroons holding up the number 15 state ranked ranking as Doug Rose Rome Free Academy team 6-2 and has nearly reached the state top 10. So a lot of quick action there in girls lacrosse. We'll also get to Class D here.
Well, meanwhile, I mean, looking at it's neat to see that Auburn and RFA are strong teams, but the way that FM's been able to play with and beat the Class A teams shows that they're still the favorites up in Class B with the Steigerwald sisters and the Shanley sisters, all doing quite well. Up in Class A, we mentioned Baldwinsville, and we'll talk to these girls later in the tournament. It seems like West Jenny's the only one of the Class A teams that has given them a tough game so far. And it was a 1-goal game when they met a couple weeks ago. They'll meet again next week, and that could be a sectional finals preview, or at least the preview of an important playoff game. Because CBA, the reigning state champions, while they're good this season, might not quite be at the level they were last year when they ended up winning a state title, because the seniors they lost were just about irreplaceable. And that's where you stand right now there. All
right, real quick here. Let's finish up girls lacrosse. Nothing changed. And if you look at state Class D, really, with the girls lacrosse ranking, Skinny Alice and West Hill are still 1-2 after a comfortable win last week. The marquee game in Class D this week was last night. The Warriors faced number 6 ranked Marcellus, who really has rolled through opponents the last few weeks as defending sectional champ South Jefferson. Is in the number 7 spot. Let's talk about it. What happened?
Well, it played on Wednesday night as it turned out, and West Hill won a tough 10-8 game over Marcellus. An impressive defensive performance by the Warriors, who kept Marcellus from having too much variety in its offense. Warriors have a little more depth, perhaps, and that's maybe the thing that they're going to need. But at the same time, it's easy to see why Skinny Atlas is atop the state rankings. They have been just rolling through people for weeks now, the Lakers. They seem to be hungry again after South Jefferson beat them in the sectional finals a year ago. They also have such a deep attack led by Olivia Navaroli, Grace Dower, and Maggie Newton. And you don't know who to stop among those types, especially Navaroli, who can also dominate in the draw circle. So Skinny Atlas is certainly the team I think that's the front runner, but it's not unthinkable to imagine that maybe West Hill or South Jeff or Marcellus could beat them in a one-shot deal still down the road. They still got some important games down the stretch.
All right, we'll check back. Phil and I, back-to-back interviews here. We're going to kick things off with our Affleck Spotlight interview with members of the Baldwinsville girls lacrosse team. Right after that, Liverpool boys baseball, all happening here on the Affleck Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, presented by SummitCars.com.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, here we are back on the program. Mike Bristol joined alongside with Phil Black. Well, Blakey Bristol down there playing Minecraft. We've got our Affleck Spotlight interview with members of the Baldwinsville girls lacrosse team who are here in studio, which is nice to have the kids. And Baldwinsville, as we mentioned, has achieved plenty of accolades, including 3 trips to the state finals, a state championship in 2000. And right now, sitting atop the Class A ranking so far this spring, the Bees are 11-1. It's only blemish, a narrow defeat to FM. Megan Collins, our head coach here in studio. Megan, what's going on?
Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Great to have you here in studio. And we've got midfielder Hannah Johnson. What's up, Hannah?
Nothing much. How are you?
Get close to that microphone and say hello to everybody.
Hi.
Nice work. Defenders Emmy Foote. What's up, Emmy?
Nothing.
Good to have you in studio. Maddie Chiz. What's up, Maddie?
Hello, what's up?
Good. It's great to have you in here. So, Coach, let's bounce to you here first, and let's talk a bit about the fact that you knew you'd have a good season. Does it surprise you, though, a bit to be sitting atop the state rankings here early in May?
You know, it doesn't surprise me at all. Even just watching us at tryouts and in the beginning of the season, I could see that the energy that the girls had. They came out strong. Even, we start the season off in a parking lot, and that didn't stop them from showing some real promise, even in the beginning. And they've had a great attitude the whole way through. So it's not surprising to me at all.
Our SummitCars.com spotlight interview here with Baldwinsville and head coach Megan Collins. Another quick question I asked Phil right before we took a break here is talking about the continuity and the lineup back in 2018. Talk about bringing back some seniors now and some other players from last year.
So we brought quite a few back. We only graduated 5 seniors last year. So we have a lot of talent coming back, and the seniors have been here for a while, and Hannah Johnson's been here just as long as they have. So it's really great having so many kids coming back and stepping into those leadership roles. It's really been helping us.
Now, first of all, I want to mention that, and usually you don't start with this on a team, but I'm going to start with defense, because defense never gets enough credit, I know, and that's part of our fault because we never spotlighted enough. But Emmy and Maddie, you're both part of a strong defensive unit. Why is this? What's the key to playing strong defense in a sport that sometimes doesn't encourage it all that much?
To start out, we all are coming back together, and we all really know each other really well. So when I'm on the field, I know that they have my backup, and that really lets me, play out the way I can. And they all, are there for me and are there to, crash if I need it, and that helps us all, play strongly.
Yeah, same thing like what Emmy said, that we're just so connected, and we've played together since we were so young, so we all have each other's back, and I think that gives us confidence on the field, because if we mess up, we know someone's right there to help us.
Let's even mention to the other defenders besides you two. You want to obviously give them a bit of credit for what they've done too, right?
Yeah, Kira and Sydney are really strong defenders, and it's really nice to have them there. And they've all we've all stepped up this year to come in and crash, and we've incorporated a hot defense, and that's really helped us along the way.
Explain what a hot defense is exactly.
So
in general terms, as much as you can.
So when a girl is about to drive or something, we call hot, and so one of the people that are close by run over, and you almost go into a double, and so the pressure's there already, and then we slide to the middle and try to get on the girls that are maybe sliding.
Yeah, it's not just with our strong 4 defenders. We have Hannah, we have Jenna, we have Katie on midfield who we need in hot to crash in
Katie
the middle.
Pascal, by the way, and she's quite a player, an all-around player.
Yeah,
Draws,
definitely.
Midfield, leads your team in points, that sort of thing. Everything, pretty much.
Yeah.
But anyway, also you have in goal, and maybe you can talk about this, Megan. You have Jordan Royce come in this season, right?
Yeah, Jordan's been playing a phenomenal year for us. She can come out of the cage and has no problem with running with the ball. She's made some really, really tough saves this year that are just mind-blowing.
And basketball players. I mean, she's a basketball player. Is she three-sport or is it two-sport?
Just two-sport.
But she plays basketball, so it's understandable. I mean, you have a tall... She doesn't mind running. I'm sure you have to do that in that sport anyway. Now, Hannah, we go to your offense because now they're up to the front because this is not an offense that depends on one player. You really spread the production around between yourself and Katie and Emma States and Pastor and Muscalini and all the others. I mean, it's got to be nice knowing that you're not depending on one or two people to produce.
Yeah, definitely. We have like 6 or 7 goal scorers per game who really are able to produce points whenever we need them. And that kind of is a good thing for us since we're not relying on one person to score every single goal for the game.
How long does it take really to develop a rhythm with a group like this? I mean, does it take 1 season, 2 seasons in terms of rhythm, timing, etc.?
Yeah, it really just depends on how close we are. Our chemistry this year is really good, so being able to just be with everybody and come together as a team hasn't really been that hard this year since we all have the skills. We just have to come together and put them together.
Now, of course, Megan, I mean, I watched those 2 games with FM, and those are some of the highest quality girls lacrosse you'll see in this area because they're maybe the 2 best teams in the area. 2 games that essentially were a split. I mean, they were a split. I mean, almost the same number of goals for each team. How does playing like someone like that, a team with so much skill on their side, make you better in long term?
Well, it's always great for us. Every year that we've played FM, since I've been coaching, we've actually split with them. So it's really always a nice game for us, and there's always a huge amount of competition. A lot of the girls play with each other in club teams, so we always have that big rivalry there as well. But it's always great playing them because that pushes us and gets us ready for when we, our league is phenomenal anyway, so playing those games, but gets us ready for the sectionals and beyond if we go that far.
Now we get to some fun stuff because I believe you took a trip to Tennessee during the school break. Explain what it was first and foremost. I mean, you were going to Nashville, I believe it was, or 2 games there?
Yes, we played 2 games in Nashville. We always like to go somewhere over spring break to play some teams that would be different. And so I know a lot of the parents have talked about wanting to go, so I made it happen. Yeah,
parents, I wonder why they would want to go to Music City. I mean, I just can't figure out exactly why. But also the fact is this goes back to when Doug was coaching. He would take these teams everywhere. He took them to as far as California, Colorado, places like that. I mean, the uniqueness of taking a long road trip. I mean, as a player and as a coach, I mean, what's the key, a trip like this to keep the balance between work, fun, etc.?
So I played for Doug, and I went on those trips as well. I went to San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and I was on the team that got to go to England. So it was
England, folks.
So it was an amazing experience, and I really wanted to try to keep that alive with these kids because I remember just for me the amount of team chemistry that it brings is huge for the rest of the season going forward.
And now for the girls, I have to ask you, what was the most fun part of the trip? For any of them, just any of you.
I definitely say going segwaying was probably the best part.
Yes, that was definitely the best.
What's that exactly? And just for people who don't know, maybe.
It's like a scooter mall cop thing.
Okay. No one was hurt, I take it.
Well, we had a girl fall, but
really?
She's fine.
I hope so. That would have been
entertainment.
How do you explain to people when you come back home? Yeah, they got hurt because they were segwaying, and you should be playing lacrosse.
It's a secret.
Okay, but you got to enjoy some other stuff as well. I mean, Music City stuff, tours. I'm sure you did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Grand Ole Opry. That was really fun to see.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Nashville's a great place. I mean, every one of you want to stay there. I can't blame you. But anyway, now heading towards the rest of this season. You got a big one next Thursday with West. I think it's next Thursday with West Genesee. Mm-hmm. They pushed you the first time. What did you learn from that game, and how do you approach it the second time around?
I think we learned that we need to go in not really expecting anything. We need to go in with knowing how to play and playing our game instead of going out there and thinking we can just win.
Yeah, I really think that we should stick to our game plan. As Coach says, she always gives us a game plan before it, and sticking to that is really what will give us success in the long run.
And being able to play the whole 50 minutes is kind of our big thing this year, not letting down on any point of the game.
Now, when you get to the end of the regular season, you're going to have probably a break of about a week before you hit the postseason. How do you balance out, Megan, the notion of rest and practice at that time of year? Because it can be so easy for a good team to lose their edge even a little bit. I mean, how do you balance it?
It is a difficult thing to look at. There's different days when we'll have like really rough, tough practices, and then we might have like a more of a laid back. Like yesterday, we just took a laid back day and we played capture the flag during practice. So sometimes just throwing things like that kind of gets them still competitive and working hard, but taking a little break and focusing on just being with their team at times.
And obviously we all know the goals of this team of what they want to do. How do you go from what you've been doing now to take that step to not just win a sectional title, but push for a state championship?
For us, they've been playing really well, and we're very good about making sure they know that, but I always push them to be better. And they know that even though the games that we've won, I expect more, and we could play better at any moment. So just having that push every game, every practice throughout the season of pushing to get better has really kind of keep us on the roll, getting ready to push even farther than just sectionals.
You mentioned the capture the flag thing. In general with practices, the girls, I'm going to ask the girls about this. How would you characterize them? Are they tough practices? Are they fun practices? Be honest. I know they're in front of the coach, but be honest.
Our regular practices, we always start off with like a lot of conditioning, which is good because it benefits us in the game. And then usually we're laser focused and we do hard line drills and we do drills that we need to focus on, like to get our defense ready, our offense. But when we do have those laid back practices, it's really nice for us to kind of just get the team chemistry going again and have fun.
Yeah, we definitely know when the time to focus is and when the time to lay back and have fun is. And usually, like before a big game, we always try to focus in and get what needs to be done before the big games.
We're talking with our Affleck Spotlight interview members of the Baldwinsville girls lacrosse team, Megan Collins and her crew. So, Megan, what do you see the girls? What's next for the girls here coming up?
We have a big week and a half coming up here. We have 4 games left, all home this coming week. Yeah, this coming week we have CNS, West Genesee, and Ithaca, and then the following week we play Penfield. So all of the games we have are pretty strong games. So it'll be a nice kind of test of seeing us going into sectionals, kind of where we're at when we end with a nice strong season.
How much scouting do you do? How much actually getting out to games and that kind of stuff and sending some other coaches out, et cetera? How do you girls break those things down?
We do a decent amount, not a huge amount because I want to see a little bit, but I have a big focus on just focusing on us and playing our game and do what we need to do, because when we get wrapped up and sometimes in the other teams, we kind of lose our focus on what we are supposed to be doing. So we do go out and we've seen a couple games or we've watched some film, but a lot of it this year, my focus has been more focus on us.
All right, good. Hannah, favorite part of the team, what has it been so far for you?
Definitely the closeness of the team. Everybody loves each other, and it's just like kind of like a big family, and we're able to have fun when we need to, but focus when we have to focus.
Emmy, how about you? Favorite part?
Definitely like our humor. Like we're all really funny, and if someone's down on themselves, we like cheer each other up by like making each other laugh.
That's nice. Maddie?
It's the same thing. We're just one big family. It's not really separated by like sophomores or freshmen or anything like that. We all see each other as teammates and like one big family.
All right, let's do some shout-outs. Hannah, who do you want to give a shout-out to?
Shout out to my grandma.
Nice. Grandma come to the games and everything? All right, good job, Grandma.
Shout out to my grandpa and my parents.
Good job, Emmy. Maddie, how about you shout-out?
My mom.
Very nice. Coach, how about you?
Probably whatever girls are not taking the SAT that decided to wake up to listen to this, I'll shout out to them.
And shout out to Coach Whitty.
Yes. And Summer.
And Harper.
Nice. All the way around the board. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Baldwinsville Girls Lacrosse team in studio. All right, we're talking baseball next. Phil and I. Phil, great job lining that up. Coach, thanks for coming in the studio. Girls, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Way
us.
to throw fives all around. All right, we'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, here we are in studio, ladies and gentlemen, and great show so far. Mike Bristol alongside with Phil Blackwell. Our SummitCars.com spotlight interview with members of the Liverpool boys baseball team. So, guys, thanks for coming in studio real quick. We got 2 years ago, and we all witnessed the senior heavy Liverpool boys baseball team work its way to its first ever Class AA championship. After that group graduated, the Warriors struggled in 2018, but made it some headway here, doing really, really nice job this spring, and currently 9-4, coming off a big stretch, knocked off Baldwinsville when its ace Chase and Savakul was on the mound, and then beat West Jenny twice in a row. So Luke Harder, Jake Wheeler, Mike DiStefano in studio. Luke, what's going on? How are you?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Good to have you in studio. What's been anything new, anything exciting?
This season's been pretty exciting. Can't wait to see what's up next.
Jake, what's going on?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me. Just great. Glad to be here.
Good to have you in studio. And Mike, what's going on, pal?
Nothing much. Just here with the boys, you know.
Nice. All right, Luke, let's go to you first. I guess at this point in the season, when you're you're working well together compared to even a few weeks ago, talk about where things are at and how you guys are kind of firing right now on all cylinders.
Yeah, so right now in Myrtle, I think we started figuring some things out as a team. I mean, we suffered a pretty hard loss to a team down from Virginia, but then I think we started to get some things back together. Our first 2 games against Beeville was kind of a struggle, but then we really figured it out that game against Savacool, and then we've been hot ever since. I think we really came together that game and really realized what we can do, so we've been pretty hot ever since.
And talk about kind of like what you realized, what came together, what really gelled.
I think we're starting to realize kind of our team worth. I mean, I think overall we're a lot more than we even thought after those 2 games, and then we're starting to prove that right now, and then we kind of had a chip on our shoulder going in against that game against Beeville, then even against West Jenny, we had that chip on our shoulder from last year against sectionals. And obviously them being undefeated at that time.
Jake, jump in on that. So talk about where things are at and how you feel.
Well, I think we're really starting to piece everything together. I mean, knocking off 2 undefeated state-ranked type teams it's a big confidence thing. And I think everybody's really starting to buy into their roles and just do everything as a team.
Mike, what was the biggest difference for you here where things are at this point in the season?
We started off slow, like they said. The bats weren't really going that well. Pitchers weren't throwing too many strikes. But as we developed, and especially after Myrtle, we got a lot of confidence, and the bats were just working. Defense was making plays. Pitchers were throwing strikes, less walks. Everything was just adding up.
So you're happy?
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got our SummitCars.com spotlight interview. Luke, let's bounce back to you here for a second. You look at the confidence in this team, especially last week, and you look at what you guys did against Savacool. Talk about that and how you kind of broke things down.
Yeah, so we knew coming into that game he's one of the best arms in the state. A lot of respect to him, and but we also knew we had to play up to our competition. We knew that there's nothing we can't handle. So we came in that game knowing we weren't going to let it Beeville sweep us. So then I think right off the bat, Jake started off with a single right up the middle, started getting guys on. Then they put a 3 spot on us in the top of the inning, and then we fired right back with 3 more runs. So I think that gave us a lot of confidence, and we knew it wasn't anything that we couldn't handle.
It's nice to be in that situation, plus to come back and do that. So talk a little bit about that, Jake, too, being in that position and then stepping up and doing what you guys did.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to our coaching. All week, there was just, we knew we were getting Savacool. We knew he's got all the hype. There's going to be cameras, stuff like that. And he always kept getting on us. He's just another player. He's just another player. We're better than him. And I think we went in with that confident mindset that he's no better than us, and that really helped us out.
Phil Blackwell, the Eagle Newspapers. Go ahead, Phil.
Then it carries over into this week against West Genesee. And Luke, you pitched, I think, on Monday. I think it was up at the stadium, and you pitched pretty well in that game. You got a lot of run support, but how much confidence does it give you to pitch well in the big setting on a big stage?
Yeah, so it was a really exciting game to be at MBT, and then top of the first, we put 2 spots on them. Then I think we came out just throwing strikes, getting it done, because it's really your only option. You got to throw strikes to get out. So I think once that started clicking, there's just a momentum shift throughout that whole game that, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to score more and more and more. As the game went on, and put 9 runs on them as a whole. So I think that really helped, and our defense was amazing. I mean, Mike made some amazing plays that game, and our whole defense was just really clicking that game.
Mike, where do you play again? At what position?
I play shortstop.
So shortstop's the most, a lot of pressure in that in terms of a defensive position. How have you learned to be a good glove at shortstop? What's the secret to being a good defensive player as a shortstop?
You just got to stay humble, be calm out there. Just don't look at the fans. Just play your game, zone in, and if the balls hits you, just make your plays.
Now, I got to say this. Now, this is a lineup, as I've looked at the scores this season. This is not a lineup full of a lot of power or much. You've got to make, but yet you're producing enough runs. What's the key when you know you have a lot of power, how to produce runs, big rallies, things like that?
So what coach tells us to do is stay back and look the opposite field. If you don't want to get out in front of it because you'll roll over, pop up, If you stay back, just hit a hard line drive opposite field, get the bats working, get if there's a fastball down the middle, like swing at it, don't take the first pitch strike, things like that. Just simple strategies and just helped us along the way.
Did you mention Myrtle Beach yet?
Yeah, Myrtle. I mean, you mentioned that there was some tough games down there, but what did you pick up the most down there? I mean, you went there after a very good start to this season. How much did it help that you'd played a lot of games even before you went down there?
Let's go around the board. Luke, when you start out?
Yeah, so down in Myrtle, we did play a lot of really good teams. Like I said, we started off with a game from Philly, then Virginia Beach, 2 from North Carolina, and Victor. They were in the state semis last year, so I think the good competition really helped us. And
I mean, did you see some great pictures? Did you see some, D1 athletes? Did you guys scout a bit?
Yeah, so we were looking at like max preps before the games. We were kind of scouting the kids. We knew we had some good competition, and so then I think we just had to step up to it. I think we let one of the games slip, and that really kind of woke us up. So I think our game against our last 2 games that we took home were really good wins.
Did you feel confident against each team, or were you caught off guard at all?
I think we were ready for each team, but one of our first losses against a team from Virginia Beach, we are up, and then I think we kind of just lost a little focus, and that was part of it. So that was a little wake-up call that we can't let that happen anymore.
Jake, any surprises for you?
That game that he's talking about that we let slip, we had a big win, walk-off win, and that doubleheader that day. And that second game, we jumped on them early. We had good pitching. Anthony Lapine threw 5 no-hit innings to start the game.
Nice.
And I think we just kind of settled into that. We have a lead. We're confident, stuff like that. We took our foot off the pedal, and we kind of let that one slip away.
Gotcha. Mike, how about you?
The competition down there was really good. I mean, I think that brought our confidence level up a little bit, made us start swinging the bats, playing good defense, our pitchers throwing strikes, getting more comfortable on the mound, which brought us back home with like a chip on our shoulder, like Luke said.
Absolutely. Philly, go ahead.
Now, obviously, Mike and Luke, you had older brothers that were on the state championship team 2 years ago. Watching them, what did you learn the most about what it takes to just be a championship team, watching them do what they accomplished?
Yeah, so that year in 2017, you had 16 seniors. They're all close, and they've been playing. They were playing together for a long time, and I'd probably say the biggest inspiration for me was watching them win the sectional championship at OCC, because I remember every bit about it, and I remember seeing them win it, and I just knew that we had to win. We got to win. I want to be part of this. So I think that was a huge motivation coming into this year.
And Mike, same question, because obviously your older brother was one of the aces on this team. Him and Antonello pitched their way to the state title. I mean, that was quite a duo they had.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it just comes down to throwing strikes, hitting, making your plays, just using your defense. It's not all about strikeouts. Our pitchers know that. Coach V always talks about that, getting ahead in the count. First pitch strikes, very important. And, just getting on the board early, rallying teams. The excitement, like Luke said, really inspired us to work hard off season, go to workouts, get together. Team chemistry is a big thing for us, too. So, yeah, we've been just working on that.
Did we talk sectional playoffs yet?
We're going to get to that.
Yeah,
I was going to say one thing. They probably still have the jewelry. I remember seeing the rings they got. That was pretty nice. That's got to be motivation. But anyway, we go to the postseason. Obviously, first of all, you had a big series with CNS. You get some time, first of all, in the next couple of weeks. I mean, what do you think you need to work on between now and the end of the regular season in order to really be ready for when you get to single elimination?
I think that we have some little kinks, little stuff to work on, kind of just more of an execution type of thing. But I think we're on the right track. We're confident right now, and I think we just need to keep it up and keep that mindset going into the playoffs.
It's important because you still have one series left. I mean, you have some games you have to make up, but a series against CNS, which is always a big deal with that rivalry because you always want to beat each other in every sport, and obviously they've got their ambitions as well. How important is it to close the regular season strong so that you're going in with some confidence?
I'd say the main thing right now is our whole team. We're really just eager to show everybody what we can do. So any chance we can get to do that, like a series against CNS, our rival, or even finishing our next 2 games against FM and West Jenny next week, we want to prove that we're the best and we can do anything that we set our minds to.
Now, from the pitching standpoint, Luke, who besides the rotation? You got Luke, yourself, and what's the rotation right now?
Yeah, so we have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday starters. Me and Jake are technically 1 and 2. Then we got some guys rotating like Anthony Lapine. He's a really good sophomore. We got guys like Naimeen Green and yeah, he's been doing everything we've been asking him to. And I think that we have just an incredible bullpen, and like we have at least 6 guys we can point out at any direction and say, hey, go throw some strikes, and they'll get it done.
Like a major league team in some ways. You have those deep bullpens. You got those. You can bring them in situational situations, even pitching to 1, 2 batters. Have you seen that this year?
Mostly the philosophy has just been you got to throw strikes to get out. So if you don't throw strikes, they're going to let you know that needs to be changed really fast. And I think we have one of the best pitching coaches there is, Coach V. He's a great coach, and everything he does helps us along the way.
Do you almost wish, because it's funny because when you get to the sectional playoffs, it's a single elimination, and there aren't many Class AA teams now. I mean, how do you make sure that your mentality going into it is, single elimination is really difficult, because in baseball, especially, everything is decided in series or in best double elimination. I mean, and you've played obviously plenty of those kind of tournaments in summer leagues, and how do you make sure you have that big time game mentality?
Yeah, so I think it's just the focus. That's the main part. From day one, I think even we talk about this with Coach T a lot. I think everybody's on the same page and we're all striding together. So I think with that mentality, it's going to help us when it comes playoff time, when we all need to come together and focus.
Now let's go around the board. Let's first of all talk a little bit about, I guess, Luke, let's go to you. When you looked at the team in the beginning of the season, what did you think? How were you feeling?
Yeah, so I knew that we were going to be a strong team. We all played together on JV that our sophomore year, and we play together a lot in the fall. We work a lot in the off season, and I knew we had a really strong core of players, and then it was just a matter of getting everybody around us. And I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, has been our 2 sophomores stepping up, Anthony Lapine and Adam Marsh. They're both just unbelievable right now.
Wow. We're talking Liverpool boys baseball team. Jake, same thing. Beginning of the season, I mean, how'd you feel? What were you talking? What were you guys talking about?
Well, the first thing that really jumped out to me was at the start of the offseason was the dedication that everybody was willing to, the hard work that everybody was willing to put in. Because me and Luke, we actually, with our pitching coach, Coach V, we put together a little pitching every week type of thing, just getting everybody together, getting everybody working together, all on the same page. And that's kind of the first, we haven't really done that in the past, and I think that's had a lot of impact on how the season has gone.
Michael, preseason, your same thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just getting everyone together, working out, even just going to the turf, doing some long toss. I mean, just...
Well, I remember from the state championship team was they talked about how they long tossed on the turf weeks, just in March and in the wintertime even, when they had time to be clear. And I thought that was the dedication part. But go ahead.
I mean, yeah, even a little bit of snow on the ground, we're still going to be out there getting our work done, no matter what the weather is. If it's indoors, outdoors, we're still going to be doing our work because we want to be the best we can. I mean, I told these 2 before the season, I said we're going to be one of the best hitting teams in the section. If our pitchers throw strikes and our defense makes plays, we're going to make it a long way. So that's what we're hoping to do here.
All right, when I kind of look at the overall season, Luke, let's go to you. Guys get sore arms, all that kind of stuff. How have guys stayed healthy, keeping things rolling, especially you got your ace. You get a few guys, someone gets hurt or someone gets a little irritated, it can kind of set things off a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So Coach V actually developed a weekly program that we've been doing since March. So on every day, we got our guys who are supposed to do certain things to keep their arm healthy. And obviously, everybody's going to get sore arms in baseball, so it's more about trusting that system, doing the work you need to do on the days you're not pitching so you can come back ready for your next start, and also just having the depth in the bullpen to basically aid anything we need.
Jake, talk a little bit more about that. So talk about the program, what he had set up.
Well, it's been a very long program. We've started it since we started our pitching clinics in the off season, and I think a big thing is everybody just bought right in. Nobody really challenged Coach V's thinking. They bought into what he thought was right, and I think as a team, it's just really been helpful.
Mike, what's been the most helpful part of that he's implemented?
Just like implying like new drills and stuff for us to do at practice, trying new things out, working as a team, just getting all of our stuff done. just really helped us as a team. And I believe, along with our starters, with all of our relievers, any of them could come in the game and do their job, no doubt.
All right, very, very cool. Let's keep going here. Let's go right around the board. Luke, one more. Let's do a shout out. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so a quick shout out to our teammates, coaches, my family, my brother, and Wayne and Tommy.
All right, Jake, shout out. What do you want to
I just want to shout
out
out to all the teammates and coaches that aren't here right now because we're here because of them. We do everything as a team, and we're with them.
Mike, how about you? Shout out.
I want to give a shout out to my family, my dad's bar, Chadwick Sports Bar and Grill.
Oh, yeah. Where's Chad? Where is that?
Wayne, Tommy Smokes.
East Syracuse.
My brother, just everyone, all the supporters around us have helped us, and we hope to keep that going. So thank you.
Great job, Michael. All right, real quick, I want to ask you guys one more thing. Let's talk about some of the coaches, and then we'll let you guys fly. Luke, name all the coaches on the coaching staff.
Yeah, so our varsity coaching staff goes head coach Fred Terrazzini, assistant pitching coach CJ Vivacqua, and assistant coach Dan LeDuc.
All right, very cool. All right, boys, give yourselves a big round of applause. Liverpool
Thank you for
boys
having
baseball
us.
team.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be right back. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1.
This is the Aflac Insurance Inside High School Sports Show, brought to you by SummitCars.com.
All right, Mike Bristow and the great Phil Blackwell here. It was fun having kids in studio and talking a little lacrosse, talking a little baseball, talking a little bit of everything. So we're going to get into right now the fact that despite their quick starts, Baldwinsville and West Jenny in baseball have now found out it's not a two-team Class AA race. After the Bees won the first two games of its series with Liverpool, it lost the third game in 8 innings, even though ace Jason Savicle, as we talked about, was pitching. And then Liverpool turned around, as we've just been talking about this, won the first game of its series with the Wildcats Monday at NBT Bank Stadium, proving that its number 3 state ranking was far from a fluke. JD, who took its first loss of the season, Auburn last week, avenged the defeat and then handled defending sectional champion ESM 15-6 earlier in the week. And Holland Patton's 8-0 start pushed the Golden Knights up to number 7 in the latest Class B rankings here in boys baseball. Phil, let's talk about the AA race. Let's get right to Baldwinsville, and we'll go right through it again as we just talked.
The thing is, what we're seeing is that with West Tennessee, with Baldwinsville, with Liverpool, and to a degree CNS, is that each of them have shown plenty of strength during the season, and each of them has shown a little bit of vulnerability, which means they're all going to have their radar up by the end of the regular season. Now, there's some big series still ahead. Beeville's got to face West Jenny next week, and then CNS 2 weeks, I think a couple weeks later. And in between, Liverpool gets their shot, CNS and their rivalry. So there's still a lot to figure out, even though they may have as many games. As to Class A, credit JD for beating ESM, but then ESM beat JD in the second game, so they've been able to split those two games. And I think those two teams, along with Whitesboro's a very strong Class A team, and CBA is up in Class A this year, and they've shown some strength as well. So there's those four. And in Class B, it looks like the two strongest teams so far have been Holland Patton, who is undefeated in the state, and Canastota is off to a fantastic start. The Raiders, both of them are ranked in the state top 10, and they've set the standard for everyone to chase, including the OHSL Liberty teams.
All right, let's talk about we talked about Red Rams having its own number. We talked about the 15-6 earlier this week, but Holland Patton 8-0 start pushed the Golden Knights to number 7 in those Class B rankings. Let's talk about Holland Patton here for a sec.
They seem to have emerged, HP, with steep pitching, lots of hitting, as the team in Class B that everyone's going to be chasing. They've just handled everybody so far, and Canastota has done the same. And I think those two teams, like I said, are paced themselves ahead of the OHSL teams, who have been at times, maybe there hasn't been as much consistency there, even among teams you expect it, teams like West Hill or Skinny Atlas, teams that you figure would be maybe more of a bigger factor, and also Bishop Grimes, who've had some nice moments as well, or Solvay. Those four teams have had ups and downs, but every one of them could be factors in the sectional race eventually.
All right, no team in softball. Phil, let's go to softball here for a second. Had a bigger win last week than Oneida, who knocked off undefeated CNS 7-3 last Thursday afternoon. Lauren Skibitsky and Emily Marshall each drove in 2 runs for the Indians, who rode that big win up to number 4 in the State B rankings here, tied for best among Section 3 teams with Sandy Creek.
And Sandy Creek was undefeated until this week, and Belleville-Henderson knocked them off on Tuesday. A big win for Belleville-Henderson in terms of knocking off the consensus favorites in Class C. Oneida has kept on going this week. I think Schultauer, the pitchers, threw a perfect game at some point earlier this week for the Indians against VVS. So Oneida's really the favorite, I think, in Class B, although there's a deep group of OHSL teams, including your alma mater, Marcellus, who's had a pretty impressive stretch, just knocked off defending sectional champion CBA 2-0 on Thursday. Their top pitcher, Freyer, a freshman, and she's really impressive in terms of how she's able to shut out a pretty potent CBA lineup. Because I think there's much more suspense in Class B than there might be in Class AA, where CNS seems way above the rest of the crowd. And in Class A, where you've got JD led by Shayna Mishral, who has been maybe the best player in the area. Last week alone, she hit 4 home runs in 2 games and had another home run this week. And she also pitches quite well for the Red Rams as well. So.
What a week in girls track and field. The best from this area went down to the 125th edition of the legendary Penn Relays in Philadelphia. Came back with a pair of victories in nationally televised races. Brooke Robber won the 3,000-meter run on the same night. FM's quartet of Claire Walters, Phoebe White, Susan Bansbach, and Fiona Majiko won the distance medley relay, an event the Hornets also captured in 2011. A day later, the massive Chittenden Invitational continued through heavy rains, and Walters and White both won races, helping the Hornets finish second behind Liverpool, with the Warriors Sydney Carlson winning the featured Fleet Feet Mile over teammate Windsor Arter.
Yeah, and Liverpool then went on to have a big performance yesterday also at the ESM Invitational, setting lots of records with their performances there. You're going to have next week a really unique meet, a 3-team meet between Baldwinsville, Liverpool, and CNS. 3 teams with all kinds of star athletes on their rosters, boys and girls alike, and it's going to be really unique to have those 3 going at it for league championship honors at the same time. So it's an exciting time.
Now we're in the heart of the Section 3 girls golf regular season. We start to find out this week if anyone can match the depth of and really the quality of FM among SCAC Metro Division teams. The Hornets are already 4-0. Nice wins over West Jenny and Baldwinsville in recent outings. Liverpool and the Aviton sisters still in front of them. Moving to the SCAC Empire, CBA defeated Skinny Allis. On the boys' side, undefeated teams from New Hartford, Marcellus, and Manly's Pebble Hill continue to dominate its opposition in their respective leagues. So a lot of great stuff in boys and girls golf.
The last couple of weeks, there have been some interesting matches. On the boys' side, New Hartford almost saw their win streak ended by RFA, but they won by a single stroke in boys a couple weeks ago. Then earlier this week in girls, FM only won by 2 strokes over Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool has maybe the 2 best individuals in the ranks with the Aviton sisters, but FM's depth helped them survive that challenge, and they'll play each other again at Liverpool Country Club yet, and there could be a real battle come sectionals. And so there's still that going on. And we've seen MPH stay undefeated. We had Johnny Groninger and Grant Lewis on the show last week, and they keep going. They keep scoring under 40 every time out, it seems. So, and we wanted to mention also quickly the NIFSA meetings they had earlier this week, and there was a lot of things that happened. Among other things, they're keeping the NCAA rules for girls basketball. By a narrow vote, they approved that, which was a big deal because if they adopted the National Foundation of High School rules, there would not have been a shot clock in girls basketball. And teams around here have said for a long time how much different and how much better a game is with a shot clock. Most states don't have a shot clock.
All right.
So, I mean, that's one many things that happen. They've also pushed back the starts of seasons.
Okay, great job. So Mike Bristol, Phil Black. Blake, you want to say anything to everybody in the crowd? Real quick. Great job. All right. Special thanks, Phil Blackwell, Mike Bristol. Blake, what radio station are we on real quick before we take a bounce here? Let's go.
ESPN Radio.
Good job. We're out of here. We're out of here. We're out of here. We're out of here. We're out of here.